Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at and doing some shooting and testing with my new muzzleloader. If you watched my last muzzleloader video, you know that I was having a little bit of trouble getting accuracy out of my night muzzleloader and a little problem getting a consistent point of impact between the clean bore shots and the rest of the group. Now, I got a message from my dad not long after that video, and he made a really good point. The bore driver bullets that I was using fit just a little bit looser than, say, a bullet and sabot combination. That could make the point of impact different between a clean bore and a dirty bore, and more so with rifling that isn't the greatest. So that's something I kind of overlooked in that video, but is definitely a possibility. But I do have a new muzzleloader now, and we're going to be testing it out today. This is a CVA Accura MR-X. This is the 26-inch barreled version. They do have an LR-X model, which has the same adjustable stock and a 30-inch barrel. Had I been thinking about things right, I probably would have bought that version instead. There is no action length to account for on this particular muzzleloader, unless you count this half-inch thick or so piece of breech plug that's sticking out. So the barrel goes all the way back to almost the point of the trigger here. So this 26-inch barreled muzzleloader is actually very short and handy, which will be nice. I could have gotten a little more velocity probably out of something with a 30-inch barrel, but I think this will do just fine. On top of it, I do have mounted the same old Bushnell Banner scope that I had on my last muzzleloader. It's not the greatest scope, but it seems to hold zero pretty decently, and I'm not going to be dialing with it or anything like that. It does have an illuminated reticle, which is kind of nice for some low light shots. The rifle did come with the scope base pre-installed. I did check a torque spec and then put on these loopholed rifleman rings, which were just some medium rings I had laying around, and the height ended up being perfect. The scope is 3 to 9 by 42, I believe, maybe 3 to 9 by 40, somewhere in there. It does not have adjustable parallax or anything like that. The main reason that I decided to go with a CVA Accura, and specifically one that uses 209 primers, is so that I could use Blackhorn 209 powder. I am a fairly regular listener / watcher of the Vortex Nation podcast, and they've had a couple of folks on there talking about muzzleloading in particular, and the good luck they've had with Blackhorn 209 powder. The main thing that has attracted me to that is you are not supposed to clean the bore in between shots. It's not supposed to get super fouled up, and in fact, they say that you can go 10, 20, even 40 shots in between cleaning. Now, they do recommend running one solvent patch through the barrel after a shooting session, or a minimum of one. But as far as I can tell, the stuff is not supposed to be corrosive and not hygroscopic, meaning it doesn't suck in water and hold it against the metal surface. The huge downside to Blackhorn 209 is it is darned expensive. It's sold in an 8-ounce can, and this 8-ounce can was $55. Also, you can't buy it. It is almost impossible to find, except right now, or at least when I bought this about a week and a half ago, it is available on the Hodgdon website. You can get it directly from the powder manufacturer. They do charge something ridiculous, like somewhere between $40 and $45, if I remember right, to ship. That's including the hazmat shipping and all that, but that's kind of like ridiculous. I think I ended up paying, also bought a $5 load manual from Western Powders through the Hodgdon website too. So there's $5 added on here. But for 2 cans of Blackhorn 209, 2 8-ounce cans, so 1 pound of powder in total, plus that load manual and shipping, I spent $155. Kind of ridiculous, but that's what we're working with. right now, and it seems like it's going to be the best option for muzzleloading, especially if I were to happen to forget to swab the bore for a couple of days after shooting. I have shot a few shots through this muzzleloader already, and one just at 25 yards, did a quick crank on the scope, shot it again, then shot it at 50 yards just to check that it's on paper. We're on paper, so that's where we're starting. After that, I did clean the gun all the way down. It took me about 3 patches with the Vortec carbon solvent that I use, and just 3 patches each wrapped around a brush and pushed through the barrel, and the thing is spotless again. The breech plug just took a quick wipe off and greasing, and it is back in here. You can see how easily that breech plug comes in and out. The rifle also did ship with this sling. It came with the swivels and the quick release Uncle Mike style swivels with it, but I cannot think of the name of the sling right now. I'm thinking Quake. I'm going to go ahead. Oh yeah, there it is on the back of the sling. It's a Quake sling. I'm going to go ahead and take it off for the testing today. The rifle also did ship with breech plugs meant both for pelletized propellant and for loose propellant. I've got the loose propellant one in here at the moment. It also came with a ramrod. Now, if you might have noticed that there's no ramrod on the underside of the barrel. This particular muzzleloader system does not have a spot for the ramrod, but they did send a pouch. And in this pouch is a collapsible carbon fiber ramrod with what they call their palm saver bit on the end of it here. I will also be using a short starting tool from Power Belt Bullets today, and I've got their tips installed on both the short starter and on the ramrod. Let's go ahead and get this thing loaded up, and we'll shoot some groups. The plan for today is to shoot 3 different bullets, and I am going to take 3 shots each, cleaning all the way down between each bullet so that I make sure I can get a clean bore shot in that group. I am going to start out with the 250 grain Hornady XTP and MMP sabots. That is what I have the most of, and it is the cheapest. I may have to take several shots to get the scope dialed in, that sort of thing, so I want to shoot the cheap stuff first. I also have the Hornady Bore Driver FTX bullets and some prepackaged Hornady SSTs. These are 250 grain SSTs in a sabot. This box of 20 was about $16, and the box of FTXs, or the package of them, also 20 shots, was $32.97 at my local gun shop. So if we can get either the XTPs or the FTXs to work well, I will probably set the bore drivers aside. They are expensive. The powder charge that I'm going with is a charge of 70 grains of Blackhorn 209 by weight. We can go up to 84 grains by weight, but we're sticking with the 70 grain charge to start with. That is a 100 grain volumetric equivalent, and that seems to be a good starting point. 100 grains is the volume that I was using shooting black powder in my other muzzleloader. Supposedly, we're going to get a little bit higher velocity out of the Blackhorn 209 for the same powder charge equivalency, but we'll see. Blackhorn 209 also recommends using regular 209 shot shell primers. There are several different brands of muzzleloading specific 209 primers, and they specifically recommend against using those because they are weaker than regular 209 primers. Thankfully, I have a 1,000-piece brick of these Federal 209As, and this is one of the primers that's specifically recommended by Blackhorn 209, so glad to have those. I have swabbed out the bore, ran a dry patch through it today, and fired a 209 primer through the breech plug to make sure that it is clear, and is. Let's go ahead and load this thing up. I will say, for any YouTube manual reviewer watching this, this method of loading right here is the method recommended in the manual. This is a muzzle loading rifle, which means the powder and the bullet both have to be dropped down the bore of the gun before each and every shot. I don't have a fancy powder funnel out here, so I'm just using a plastic one. I've got 70 grains by weight in this pan here. Dump that down the bore. I should get a nice aluminum funnel that fits that, but I don't have one right now. And let's get out a 250 grain XTP and an MMP sabot and see how bad these are to load. One thing, let me tip the camera down here and show you. One thing that is very nice that I like a lot on these CVA muzzleloaders is they have a portion, probably 3/8 of an inch long, in the bore there that is a little over bore, and there's no rifling. It lets you just set a bullet in there before it actually starts in the rifling pretty darn easily. I'll push that down with the short starter, which actually fits that XTP pretty well. That's tight, but not too tight. And then we will run it down against the powder with the carbon fiber ramrod here. Oh, okay, that's actually not bad at all. I should note that because this ramrod is segmented, it is useless as a cleaning rod, because as soon as you try to pull it back with a patch or a jag on the end, it just separates. It is a ramrod only, but it can be used to push anything out from the breech end once you just twist out that breech plug. And I'll show you how easy that is to do in just a few minutes here. I'm gonna set up the target camera real quick down there. It will be a little blurry on the first few shots because I'm gonna have it positioned way back and then zoomed in. But I'm gonna set up that target camera and we'll get to shooting here. All right, hopefully for you guys, the target is right up in this area. I have removed all of the powder off the bench, and I'll pull this block of primers off as well. I'm gonna load a 209 in the breech plug and close it up. That is just a slip fit. It's not really friction fit in there at all, but the closed breech holds that primer in place. Let me pop in some earplugs here, and we'll take the first shot. All right, I am hoping to get some decent velocity data today. I really don't care what the numbers are, but I want to get some data on how fast it's pushing these bullets so that I can figure out drop more effectively. All right, we'll cock the hammer. It does have a hammer spur on here that is reversible so that you don't have to worry about the scope being in the way. Let me get my hat bill out of the way of that turret. All right. And I must have caught a sabot velocity instead of a bullet velocity because we're showing 379 feet per second on the chronograph. Pull out that old primer. This is gonna feel a little bit weird, but I'm just gonna load straight from there. No cleaning involved here, which again, feels weird. I'm gonna keep my head back just in case there's an ember there to pop something off. I really doubt there is. This powder is meant for this. It's not wanting to come out of my tube there. Bullet, sabot. Short start, almost as easy as the first, if not just as easy. Yeah, felt a little like a tiny bit gritty going down there, but it's good. I do need to mark my ramrod at some point, but I'll verify depth on the barrel here, and yeah, that should be about right. Breech plug, powder, bullet. That might be the fastest system to load a muzzleloader, besides those little fire sticks or whatever. Those don't count. Oh yeah, bullet's definitely on the paper. We'll shoot a group. We'll try to get very well centered over the chronograph this time. All right, about 1.5 inches away from the first one, and got a velocity on the chronograph of 1,720 feet per second. Probably not necessary to take this primer out first, but it feels like the right way to go. I think I figured up that this powder is something like $1.50 per charge at 70 grains. Okay, looks like the third shot went right in the same hole as the first. I'm gonna go check that target just to be sure. I think I'll make a scope adjustment and fire a fourth shot. All right, I am coming 4 clicks to the, well, let me do windage first. I'm gonna go 4 clicks to the left. And then I'm gonna go up by 8. All right, we will fire a shot there after that scope adjustment, and just needs to be close. Oh yeah, there it hit my cap. And the chronograph is not gonna pick up, which is an issue. Okay, I think that's pretty darn close to center, or maybe just a little bit above. I'm just gonna leave it right there, and we're gonna shoot the rest of our groups with that scope setting. I'm going to get out the cleaning stuff. I'm gonna clean this barrel all the way down until the patches are coming out nearly clean, and then run some dry patches through to get all the solvent out. And then we'll go on to the next bullet. I believe we'll do the, let's do the bore driver next, and then we'll come back to the FTX, or the SST, I guess. You guys might find this a little bit interesting. So this here is my first patch, wetted patch with Bortec C4 carbon remover. This is my second patch with Bortec C4. Not a ton on there. I brushed it out after that, and then I ran one more patch through. Got just a tiny bit on there. This was the dry patch, pushed through the barrel. I'm gonna call that good for now. We're gonna go ahead and shoot the next group with the bore drivers. 290 grain Hornady bore driver FTX. Here we go. Now the sun has come out super obnoxiously between the trees and shining directly on the front of my scope. So it is going to be just slightly difficult to see. Oh, but I can still get a decent beat on that target. No problem. I'm expecting a little more recoil with this bullet. I'm going to try to be smart about this time. Oh, that sun is annoying. You know what? I'm going to need that. A little more recoil, nothing too bad. Point of impact just a couple inches high. That first FTX was slightly more difficult to load, but it felt like it was getting air resistance along the sides of the barrel. It's actually loading easier now. Oh yeah, that one was way easier. Now that it had a little bit of fouling in there. I do like that crown is recessed. Man, that helps out a lot, and it makes you not worry so much about dinging it. I'd say that was about a 30-second reload on that, which is nice. Did not get a velocity, which I didn't expect with the current lighting conditions. Looks like it's right next to that last one. I don't know why I'm looking at the primers like I'm gonna see pressure signs. Habit, I guess. This ramrod is really getting scratched up by the rifling. I've got a good stop point marked in there though, thanks to that. Yeah, that is super quick and easy to reload. Oh, I got a 1628 for a velocity on that one. It actually read. That seems feasible for a 40 grain heavier bullet to be going 100 feet per second slower. I'm gonna have to go look at the target because with the sun and all the smoke in the air, I can't see what's going on. All right, that's what I'm talking about. There is a 3-shot group. Got the cold bore shot there, the other two right there, directly on top of each other. That is amazing. All right, let me clean the bore one more time and we'll shoot the last bullet for the day. Well, we've got good light on the rifle itself. I do want to show you how easily this breech plug comes out. So pull back on the trigger guard to break it open. And then that breech plug unthreads like that. It was tight. It was hand tight before that. And there's no need to go any tighter than that. It does have a spot to put a tool in back here. The tool is included. It does have a spot for the tool just in case it gets too stuck, but that was hand tight. And let me see here. Yeah, just twist it right back out. Since this thing cleans so quickly, I'm not even going to stop the video to clean this time. You can see all the smoke coming out. All right, that board does look good and dirty. Tell you what, I love this Vortex C4. It's been working really well for me on my centerfire rifles too. They have a rimfire blend that I haven't tried out yet, but I probably will in the future. Yeah, lots of gunk on that first patch. I'm just pushing straight through, not swabbing at first here. Throw a brush on. Nylon brush with a couple drops of solvent on it. All right, 10 passes back and forth. I'll put a little bit more solvent on this last patch here. This one I will scrub. Okay, that one's already coming out much cleaner. Still some gunk on it. Tell you what, because of that, I will run one more solvent patch through there. I'm using these Hoppe's brand 16 and 12 gauge patches. I think they're 2 3/4 inches square. They actually seem to work pretty well for this 50 cal muzzleloader. All right, much less on at that time. No chunks left anymore either. All right, coming out good and clean now. Need my breech plug, and if this encounters any resistance, there is quite a bit of grease left on it still. If this encounters any resistance, I'll clean out the threads. Nope, worked perfect. All right, I'm gonna go weigh out 3 more charges and we'll shoot the 250 grain SST. I hope to shoot this bullet in 250 or in 450 Bushmaster before too long. Of course, without the sabot. Oh, that's definitely a thinner sabot by far. And these sabots might be available outside of this packaging. I'm guessing there's probably a cheaper way to buy these is what I'm saying. But maybe not. It was only 16 bucks for this box of 20, which compared to some others is not much. All right, I did dry patch out the bore. Powder charge. Bullet in. All right, we are to our expected spot on the ramrod. Oh, I can see the target so much better now. The sun has shifted. It's not in my eyes. For what it's worth, I did get a velocity of 1625, and I got velocities about, I think, 2 feet per second apart for 2 of the 3 shots from that last group. So that's something to go on anyway. Hopefully I get some for this, assuming it'll be back up in that 1700 plus a little bit range. No catch. About the same point of impact, maybe just a little bit to the left of where the FTXs were. But it is nice on this trigger. You can feel right away, it is a single stage trigger. You can feel when it's cocked and when it's not. So if you don't have it cocked for some reason, you're not gonna sit there wondering why it's not going off. 1722, and the bullet went through the same hole. All right, let's do that one more time. We'll say this fore end seems a little bit loose. I want to talk about that on the wrap up here. I'm gonna go check that. 1709 for the velocity on that one. Good, I'm really glad we got a few to pick up anyway. Gotta go check that target, but I'm pretty sure that third one went through the same spot. Yes, we have the cold bore shot and the two other shots through the same hole. All right, folks, this is exactly what I hoped we would come up with today. Let me take a second and reset the bench here, and we're gonna talk about final results. I'm going to talk about my impressions of the gun in general after we talk about the groups. So with the Hornady XTPs, first shot here, second shot here, third shot here for a group of about an 1.5 1.75 inches at 50 yards. Not terrible, right? Then we moved on to the bore driver FTX bullet, and we put 3 bullets through the same hole. That there was a scope adjustment, you'll remember, with the XTP, and it hit right there. Clean barrel, 3 bullets through the same hole at 50 yards with the bore driver FTX. Then switch to the Hornady 250 grain SSTs. Now I know I am using all Hornady bullets. I probably will try some power belts specifically in the future, and maybe a couple other brands too, but this is what was easily available. Again, the Hornady SSTs, 3 bullets, including the clean bore shot, through the same hole at 50 yards. That's 0.4 of an inch center to center there, so 0.8 MOA. I am way thrilled with that, and with the FTX bullet. But if you'll remember me saying, the SST is about half the price of the FTX. Both about the same ease to load, and 250 grains is really about the weight of bullet that I want to be shooting. So I think I'm going to be moving on with the Hornady SST. Now, in the next video with this gun, we will be shooting at 100, hopefully 150, hopefully 200 yards, of course, depending on how the group testing goes. And I might try a couple of different charge weights too, but I think we are going to stick with that Hornady SST bullet for this season. I do have 3 weeks left of archery season before I can actually take this out in the field, but I believe the 250 grain SST with the sabot is what we're going to be going with. We are already sighted in about 2 inches high at 50 yards. I'm really curious to see where that impacts at 100 yards. If that's pretty close at 100 or anywhere within that 2-inch spread, I'm gonna just leave it right there, then see where it is at the further distances. So I am extremely impressed with the initial accuracy of this rifle. I've taken 12 or 13 shots with this rifle so far, and that is where we're at. And like I said, I can't say this enough, I am extremely thrilled with this. Now, this is not a knock on the night muzzleloader that I had. When I first got that night muzzleloader, it was shooting groups that looked just like this. It shot extremely well, and it is entirely my fault that that night muzzleloader went bad. It was my care of a black powder firearm. So let me take a second and overview what I think of this rifle so far. Again, this is the CVA Accura MR-X mountain rifle, I believe is what the MR stands for. 26-inch barrel. The barrel is threaded if I ever wanted to put a muzzle brake on here, or I have even heard of 50 cal suppressors being put on a muzzleloader, which is kind of crazy, especially with how much fouling there is. Anyway, that's a topic for a different time and probably not even my channel. But the rifle itself, first let me tell you the price. I got this from Sportsman's Warehouse for right around $600. That included shipping, tax to Tennessee, which is almost 10%, and everything. So around $600 got this rifle. That does not include the scope. The scope is an old one I had. I think this was a fairly cheap scope if I remember right. This muzzleloader does have an adjustable cheek piece, which I love. The stock is a kind of a soft touch texture, which I prefer to something hard. It doesn't sound super cheap, and it actually feels, well, the back end of the stock anyway, feels pretty rigid. The front end of the stock is probably the only thing I have issue with. Now, CVA does advertise that the barrel on this muzzleloader is free floated. Well, that is a load of crap. And I don't know if it matters, but that statement is a load of crap. Watch this. This forend, you can see that the barrel appears to be floated in there. This does move around a little bit, but not too much. I don't believe it contacts the barrel. But this whole forend attaches to the barrel itself. I don't know how that can be considered free floated. It attaches, the latch point is right there on the barrel. Now, you can take this all the way down by removing that handguard, and then you just do that, and it takes down into a nice little package. That's how it came in the box. I suppose that would be nice for a carry case that was pretty short and compact, and it goes back together really nice and quick and easy. But again, it is not free floated, or at least by what I consider free floated, because that front handguard is attached directly to the barrel. I mean, it's attached back here to the action, but it's also attached to the barrel. This is a Bergara barrel, which that was one of my reasons for purchasing this, is because I have heard great things about Bergara barrels, and I've had great luck with my 6.5 Creedmoor that is a Bergara. Overall, if you can tell by my rambling, I'm extremely happy with this muzzleloader. There's one more thing. I know I've already showed this again, but watch how easy this breech plug comes out. All you gotta do is break the rifle open and twist it open. So you get a patch stuck in the barrel or whatever, all you gotta do is pop that breech plug out, push the ramrod through, and you're good to go. I am extremely pleased with this so far. Now, I do remember hearing some rumors, and these might be way old rumors, but rumors of CVA muzzleloaders exploding on people. A little digging, and from what I could find, that happened when people tried to load a black powder rifle, which is what this is, with smokeless powder. Now, Blackhorn 209 is not smokeless powder. In fact, it is a powder that CVA explicitly recommends for their muzzleloaders. You should never, ever, ever try to shoot smokeless powder out of a black powder rifle. The guns just aren't built for it. They're not built for the kinds of pressures that smokeless powder generates. I have considered buying a smokeless powder muzzleloader that is designed to shoot smokeless. There is one company that takes the CVA Scout rifle that is chambered in 45-70 and converts that into a 45 caliber smokeless muzzleloader intended to shoot, I think, either H4198 or IMR 4198, one of those powders. Don't take my word on that. But anyway, something like that is actually fairly expensive. I think I probably could have gotten the gun and all the tooling for somewhere just over $1,000, but I definitely wanted to go with something more cheap and more readily available here. So again, $600 minus the scope. It comes with ramrod, sling, both breech plugs that you need. I can't find anything wrong with it so far, guys. Again, I only have taken 12 or 13 shots with it, but I am really liking this muzzleloader so far. It is quite light and handy, and I am really looking forward to getting into the woods with this muzzleloader this season. And I'm looking forward to getting out to a longer distance to shoot this in the next week or two. Really looking forward to see what that trajectory looks like and see how far we can reach out and get some critters with. So this has been an extremely long-winded video. Hopefully I can edit that down to something manageable to watch. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Y'all have a good one.